Previously on Understanding Crypto Predictive Analysis.
Breaking that resistance will mean closing a 2-hourly candle above this line right here. That would mean that USDT dominance will most likely be headed back up to here and up to here and eventually up to here. The bottoming out zone for USDT dominance, I think, will be here at the 2.618, which will be about a 31% move to the downside on USDT dominance. This is a very powerful one, however, because it means that if you close below this one right here, you will therefore trigger this 1618 right here. This support zone is actually where BTC would bottom at if it were to plummet to the downside. We do have the RSI, of course, showing some bearish divergence, the same as we saw with USDT dominance. Why would this 786 right here be dangerous, as we said? Well, if you do come down here and trigger this 1618, well, you'd have some type of retracement here and some type of retracement, then come to this 1618 right here, which means that you go back to this 786 right here, and then another potential dump retesting that 1618. It could be the bottom, but then it may not be the bottom, and then you sink to the 2618 at 103k. So we see that Ethereum has finally come to this zone right here. However, I'm thinking that if it is to go to the downside, then this thing could be going to somewhere around 3,600 to 3,300 lowest. We are talking somewhere around 80% move to the upside. Alright, welcome back to Understanding Crypto, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Herve, and every other day here we cover predictive analysis, research and tutorials in the easiest way possible on the internet. If that's the type of content you find interesting, be sure to click that like button, because it can't click itself, and subscribe to the channel with your notifications on so that you do not miss out on any other value-packed video like this one. With that said and done, let's just jump right into it now, shall we? By the way, this is my website, vware.io. I upload news there every other day, and we also have some tools that you can access, and it's all for free. So you may click the link in the description or just go to www.vware.io to get full access to this stuff. Okay, so today we'll be starting with USDT dominance. In our previous video, we did say a lot, and yeah, it's really just going the way we said, unfortunately, because this is not really what we wanted. So in that video, we did suggest that if USDT dominance was going to move to the upside, then it be coming up here. The first zone that we suggested in that video actually did tie with this red circle here, but we did not have much data to actually forecast or make a strong forecast that it must come up to here. Hence why we did some stuffs like so that it will come up here, and eventually come up here. So this was the eventual zone, which is where we came right into right here. So with more data, we have now seen that there is another zone up here. So best case scenario, as I posted, I think that was yesterday on Telegram, I did say that best case scenario, we will actually top out here, which is where I'm inclined to believe that we will top out from, because it's where we suggested that we are going to go to. And that actually just happened. I mean, it happened right after I had that post on Telegram. I also did make a TikTok about it, and I posted that on my YouTube Shorts channel. So Understanding Crypto Shorts. You will find that video there. I think I left a post here on YouTube yesterday, but just a community post, not an actual video directing you to that particular video. So USDT dominance topped out at this our zone right here. So with more data, we have now some things to worry about. Yeah, so we are constantly worrying about stuff here every day. That's just the nature of the market. What we worry about is that the first zone right here is actually the 2.618. That 2.618 would mean that it would have been the eventual top, like the last top, where we therefore now just go to the downside. But there is also a hidden 1.618 at that same zone. That hidden 1.618 tells us that USDT dominance could potentially come down to here, or here actually. That's the 0.786. So we have the blue and the white lines right here. It could potentially come down to the 0.786 right here and still go back to the upside with a potential of going right up to here. So that's actually the problem here. This thing could still go back to the upside and go as high as the 2.618 up here, but we don't really know if that will happen. You know, we don't know if it's using this 2.618 in blue or if it's using the 1.618 in white. What we were mostly certain about is that there would be a drop from this particular zone. That is something we were very certain about. The idea that it could just go straight up here, of course, could happen. Yeah, the markets, anything can happen. But we did not have that, we were not on that idea that it will just go straight up. That's, I would say it's impossible, but you know, nothing is really impossible in the markets, but it's close to being impossible, at least according to the analysis. So this is really what we are worried about right now. For now, you can see that USDT dominance is holding the 50 EMA here on the 2-hourly time frame, but I'm inclined to believe that it will break that 2-hourly EMA and come as far down as this 0.786 right here, or perhaps the 1.618 right here. So we therefore have this zone right here as a potential bottoming out zone for USDT dominance. So when it does come down here, we will have to reanalyze this thing. Of course, this will mean the same for BTC, which we will see in a minute. Now, for the macro, I know a lot of you are actually interested in the macro because that actually says where this thing is headed, like in the bigger picture, when your altcoins will potentially do a lot of big moves. So for the macro, USDT dominance is actually doing something very interesting here. So at first glance, you can see that USDT dominance has been having lower highs and lower lows, yeah? So that is pretty clear. Every high is followed by a successive lower high. So from here to here to here and here, lower lows follow from here to here and even here. Now here it's behaving as though it's going to produce a higher low, which is a cause for concern, but it's not done yet, so we can't even say that it's confirmed in any way. So for now, it's still having lower highs and lower lows, which are indicative of a downtrend. So we are still trending to the downside. There's no reason on the macro to believe that we have bottomed on USDT dominance, which of course means that there is no reason to believe that the crypto markets have topped out. So here you will also see something very interesting. You see that from this lower high right here, we came down into the 1.618. I keep looking there to ensure that you see what I'm talking about. So here you see that USDT dominance came down into this 1.618 and went back up here, which a normal person will think is just a retracement. But we here on Understanding Crypto are starting to see it follow our VFib system. So this move back to the upside right here actually went back to the 0.786 or 786 Fibonacci level. Now that is already part of our VFib system. So move to 1.618, go back to 786 and then come back to 1.618. The next target is actually 2.618, which means that USDT dominance will eventually come down to here. Eventually. You know, we can't be so certain about anything, but eventually that's what we think will happen here. So according to this move, USDT dominance is actually trying to do something that looks like so, coming to the downside right here. Now, what's interesting about that 2.618 is that it's very close to our macro 2.618, like our eventual target where we think the crypto markets could potentially top out. That topping out zone is this 2.618 right here. This is where I think the crypto markets will top out from. So if USDT dominance ever comes down here, I will start to believe that the markets may have topped out. Perhaps at that point, you know, some altcoins may still be doing well because that's what usually happens. BTC tops out and some coins are still doing a 5x. That's still possible. So it's not like you just go and sell everything off. But this would be the zone where I think USDT dominance will actually bottom out from, and then from here, this thing will then go back to the upside like so. This is the zone for me for the crypto markets top, the general top, like this is it, like the cycle has ended. This would be the zone. So this is pretty much what we are looking at here on USDT dominance. We are seeing lower highs and lower lows that could potentially reach this 2.618 right here. So we therefore have this new zone right here as our topping out zone for the crypto markets. Now, I usually talk about the 3 fib level as the error margin zone, and yesterday I saw a comment here on YouTube of somebody asking me what is error margin. Well, by error margin, I mean that if this is not the bottom, this is definitely the bottom. So if I project my Fibonacci levels to the upside like so, this 3 fib level right here will be my error margin zone. So if I were to go short at the 2.618 right here, my stop loss will be above that 3 fib level. If I was on the idea that price is going to come like so and top out at the 2.618 Fibonacci level, my stop loss will be slightly above the 3 fib level. Price can come even as high as the 3 fib level right here before moving to the downside. We've seen that with BTC dominance, assuming that it has topped out. As we get there, I will show you what I'm talking about. But this is really just my own strategy. It applies to the upside as well. So if I were to go long, and I'm going long at the 2.618, my stop loss will be below the 3 fib level. So that's basically it with USDT dominance, folks. As we go to the upside or downside actually on this thing, we will come back with another update. For now, we are holding support at the 50 EMA right here. My idea is that this thing will surely break this 50 EMA. At least that's my idea for now. But if it just goes straight to the upside, then I'll then come back with another update. But for now, my idea is that it will break this 50 EMA and come down as low as this zone right here. Okay, let's quickly now go to Mr. BTC. Of course, BTC is the opposite of USDT dominance. So all the zones that we mentioned on USDT dominance, we will have the opposite of them to the upside on BTC. Now, this first zone right here is actually what I sent to you yesterday on Telegram. I told you that I am inclined to believe that this first zone right here will be used as the bottom instead of this one. At least for that time, I was on the idea that we use this one as the bottom and then go back to the upside. As you can clearly see here, the zones that we are using are the 1.618, 0.786, and 2.618. So in our previous video, we did suggest that coming below this 786 will be a very big problem for BTC because it will most likely come back as low as here. What we were looking at was also this zone right here, which is similar to the red circle we drew on USDT dominance. So for now, what we will be expecting for Mr. BTC is to have a move up to the 786 right here. After that, we will have to update because there is a chance, just like there was a chance on USDT dominance to go to the downside and go back up, there is also a chance for Mr. BTC to go up here and have a problem, then come back to the downside like so. Now, when we reach here and maybe have some type of retracement, we will have to update because from there we should be able to know if this thing will go to the downside. Yeah, it's not certain for now that it will eventually come down as low as here, but we will have to update any time that we reach up here. Now, is there a chance that this thing just drops right down to here from current price? Of course, there is a chance, but according to the strategy, we do not have that evidence. We can't say that it will go there. It could, but we don't have the evidence to suggest it. Even from a simplistic standpoint, you will see that BTC was using this right here as the support. This line right here was the support of this channel, and when BTC fell through it, it was already starting to see it as some type of resistance right here, and it broke through it. So now that it is back within the channel, it is only logical to believe that it will most likely be headed for the top of that channel. We don't know for sure if it will get right up to here, but that would be the idea. So for now, you could still have some type of retracement back to the line right here, which may act as support for another move back to the upside that will look like so. Pretty much. Our main idea though is just that when it does come up to this region right here, we will make another update to suggest where it's going to go, because from this point right here there is just a chance, at least according to the analysis, that it could go even as far down as here. Now we do have a zone somewhere around 109k as well. We have the 2.618 at 106k, but there is some hidden zone here at 109k, and we will have to monitor all of that when we or if we start to drop. Yeah, we will have to monitor all of that. The reason why this is so uncertain is because USDT and BTC are not really directly correlated, yeah? So sometimes you'd see BTC go up as high as, say, 15%, and USDT dominance only goes down by about maybe 7%. So BTC overperforms USDT dominance. So that's why we constantly have to check to see if we are following the zones correctly. But for now, we are actually following them correctly. You can see that it came into 1.618 right here, just at the same time that USDT dominance also went to the upside to its own 1.618. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this micro analysis right here. To the upside on the macro, well, we have the same zones, yeah? But for now, this is our primary concern. To the upside, we have the same zones, and we have added zones as well, which I think we will need some type of dedicated video to explain them. So we have 128 right here, 132, 164, 174, which is actually between 170 to 175, and that would have ended our macro cycle. A quick correction though, in our previous video, we did suggest that BTC could come down as low as 103k, but that 103k is actually the error margin as well. Yeah, so it's not the primary target. The primary target, according to the strategy, will be the 2.618, which will put us at somewhere around 106k. So this would be the ideal bottom. But if you were to long this bottom right here, you'd put your stop loss below the 3 fib level right here. So anywhere around here would be ideal for the stop loss, not inside right here. Sometimes it will actually just bounce off of that 2.618, but it's just safer to have your stop loss below the 3 fib level. Of course, sometimes as well, you will have the 3 fib level slightly lower or slightly higher, which gives you a very large stop loss, and that will just mean that it's not a good trade at all. You only have to look for trades that have a very close proximity between the 2.618 to the 3 fib level. Another thing that I thought about is that this 3 fib level right here will actually be below our macro support zone. I say support because we are above it now. If you remember, we do have this zone right here. Let's quickly go to the weekly time frame and plot these zones right here. So we get this from here and we get this to here, and we bring this like so. So our macro support zone right now, which was our macro resistance zone, is this 2.618 right here. So this 2.618 at 105.2, it's actually 105.3. I did not take much time to plot that, so it's actually 105.3. But now, okay, so 105.2 right here, or 5.3, the 3 fib level here, which is 103.6, will be below that 105.2 or 0.3. Meaning that if BTC ever came down here, we don't want to see a weekly candle close below this 105.2 or 105.3. If that happened, yeah, we will have to maybe start packing our bags, because that could result in a massive bear market. So that actually makes me less confident on the idea that BTC could go down as low as 103.6 right here, because it will be confirming something very bad. Of course, something very bad could happen, but I have no reasons to believe that it will, at least for now. Okay, so BTC CME is something that we also covered in our previous video, and we have very easy stuff going on here. As we can see, BTC already filled the CME gap, and well, it's pretty good what happened here, and it's currently inside of that CME gap. So from here on out, we should just be expecting some type of move to the upside to that 117k zone. Now, mind you, BTC could still have a move to the downside before going there, so it's never really just a straight move up. Yeah, because sometimes I say this and, it has some type of retracement and people think, oh, it's just going to dump now. No, we actually opened a trade in our premium group and I think it's currently, I'll have to check it later, but it should be more than 20% to the upside on 5x leverage right now. Let's just quickly look at that. Let's quickly see. Yes, we entered the trade at 105. So that trade is up by 25% at the moment. Our target is somewhere around 164. If this thing were to actually go there, we will make some money. Anyway, let's go back to that BTC CME thing. BTC filled that CME gap to the downside. We don't really have any closer CME gaps right here. No close CME gaps. I think the only CME gap that we do have unfilled is at 92. We have no reasons to believe that BTC is going to go there, at least for now. So for now, we are just looking to the upside on this thing. Let's now go to BTC exchange balances. So we actually do have some good news on this thing. We'll send out about 36,000 BTCs from exchanges. That is great. And for now, we've had only about 11,000 BTCs sent into exchanges. So we have a net negative there where whales are mostly sending BTCs out of exchanges. As we've already talked about many times, if we go right back to February of 2024, up till now, well, whales have just been sending BTCs out of exchanges. The more they send out, the easier it is to move its price. And the caveat to that is that it's both up and down. So this whole idea of BTC going to 170k or whatever, that will be facilitated with lower BTCs on exchanges. It will become easier to move the price to the upside. That's pretty much it for this BTC exchange balances. Okay, the next thing we need to look at is ETH USDT. Quickly. Oh God, the video is already long. Okay, so here on Ethereum, I sent you this chart yesterday and I told you that consider this point right here to have been the bottom for Ethereum. At that time, ETH was somewhere around, I don't know if it was somewhere around 3.3 or 3.4, I believe 3.4 actually. Then I said, consider this point right here to have been the bottoming out zone for Ethereum. Now, I did have these other zones right here where it could potentially come back to, but not so dependent on those because we see that Ethereum quite literally tapped in at that 2.618 right there. So it tapped that 2.618 and now it's gone back to the 1.618 and it's actually having some type of resistance at the 50 EMA here on the 2 hourly time frame. Ideally, I will be expecting Ethereum to come right back as high as the 0.786 right here. So I would be expecting this to come back to somewhere around 3,700-ish. Yeah, 3.7k for ETH before we can reanalyze this stuff. Is there a chance that it just plummets back to the downside? Of course, there's always a chance for that. But this is the zone that I will have to reanalyze the whole thing. And that is the zone where I think the real resistance will kick in. And if we can close above 4k right here, that's the time when I think this thing now will be headed for somewhere around 5.2k. This would be our next target for Ethereum. So that's really just our next target. All of this happening here is just noise. Even if we do come right back down to here at 3.1k or whatever, this is the next target for Ethereum. So consider all of this happening here to be just noise. Okay, the next one is BTC dominance. Now, I did not go so deep into this ETH thing because we've covered it a lot of the times. I think you already know everything about it. It's the same analysis for ETH, BTC. ETH is proving very strong, actually. ETH is really being very strong. And I think it's taking its capital from mostly Solana. If I show you the chart quickly, let me just show you the Sol ETH chart. So here you will see that Solana has been crashing on its ETH pair dangerously. So I actually did anticipate this because it was in an ascending wedge right here, and I was on the idea that the moment it breaks this EMA, it will become very slow for Sol, even in some type of big rally. So if BTC were to rally right now, ETH will outperform Sol. I am pretty sure of that. ETH will outperform Sol. And the first target for this plummet right here on ETH Sol will actually be around here. So Sol still has to bleed into ETH, and we're talking about that's about 24%. Now, this is not to say that Sol will not go up. Yeah, it will go up, but just compared to Ethereum, it may not go up as much. Another thing is XRP as well. I mean, when I look at that XRP thing on Ethereum, not really looking very good for this thing. I mean, it could still go up because it's sort of using this as a zone of support right here. So it's at a 2.618 right here, and it's close below it with 2 weekly candles. And below that, we have the 50 weekly EMA. The moment XRP closes a weekly candle below this 50 weekly EMA, it will start to dump just like Sol is dumping on its ETH pair, and that will only give ETH more capital. Okay, let's go now to that BTC dominance thing. We talk too much, do we? I don't know if I talk too much on the channel. So BTC dominance is using the 2.618 that we, this is something we spoke about a long time ago. Now you see the 3 fib level, yes? You see what I was talking about? So I told you that the 3 fib level, I mostly use it as my error margin, meaning that if I were to go short on this BTC dominance thing, if I went in on a short right here, I would have entered here, but my stop loss would have been slightly higher than this 3 fib level right here. Given the fact that we have the 0.786 right there, I'd also put it somewhat higher than that. So if I went in on a short right here, I would be in profits still. So that is why we use the 3 fib as our error margin, because sometimes, and it's not most of the times, we're talking about 25 to 30% of the times, you'd find that price will go to that 3 fib level and still go in your favor. So if you were going in on some type of short or long, use the 3 fib as your error margin. BTC dominance is beginning to use this 2.618 as its new resistance, which is very good, which is very, very good. What I would like to see is that it does not go above this with a weekly candle. So it does not close a weekly candle above this 2.618. It would be even best if BTC dominance can come lower than this 50 weekly EMA and close a weekly candle below it. And by that we mean some type of full body candle, like a big candle like this one. If that were to happen here, then the whole alt season thing is really confirmed. For now, as you can see, it held this 50 weekly EMA right here as support, which is why I made a video the other time saying that the alt season has not started. It has not started. So every rally that you've seen with altcoins, it's really no rally, because the whole alt season thing has not really started. It will only start when we start to descend on this BTC dominance thing. As you can see from right back from here, and we're talking as far back as 2022, BTC dominance has just been going to the upside. Yes, it's just been going to the upside. Now, that full move to the upside has not broken to the downside yet. We've not confirmed any type of big drop to the downside. This means that BTC dominance on the macro perspective is still bullish. Yeah, it's still bullish. Now, when we start to zoom in this particular zone right here, we could have some reasons to believe that it will drop. But when you just look at it from the macro perspective, it's still bullish. I mean, this zone right here might as well just be like this zone right here or this zone right here. So we are somewhat hoping as well that that is the zone that this thing just plummets to the downside from. Our first target for BTC dominance will of course be the 48% zone. So we really have a very long way to go on this thing. We have miles to cover. We have about 22% to dump. That will be a ginormous rally for alts. So you know, when we do close a weekly candle here, or when anything changes here, I will make sure to bring you another update. One more thing before I go is the others chart. Now, this actually represents every altcoin outside the top 10. Here we see every altcoin outside the top 10, at least those that are on, centralized exchanges. So what I'm inclined to believe here is that this thing must have bottomed around here. If it has not bottomed, then this box will most likely serve as its bottoming out zone. So even if we do come back to the downside right here, I'd be expecting that this thing bottoms around here. It's important to note that it's pretty difficult to predict where altcoins will go, especially these that are outside the top 10. It's really difficult because you will think that this is the bottom right here. It goes up and then comes right back down. So yeah, it's really difficult, but at least according to what I can gather, I'm inclined to believe that it bottoms out in this zone right here and then heads up like so. Of course, when heading up, it will have some type of resistance right here because this is the macro resistance zone, where then now I think it will eventually go to the upside for its first target around here, which will be 11 to 12%. 11 to 12% means that all altcoins outside the top 10 will occupy about 11 to 12% of the total crypto market cap. After that, I will be expecting 15% right here, and later I think it will go potentially higher than that. The reason why I am, somewhat certain, I say somewhat because, nothing can really be certain in these treacherous markets. The reason why I'm somewhat certain that the altcoins will still go up is because whales need a lot of liquidity to exit. And that is really the reason why they are still buying here. They still believe that the markets will go up. If whales believed that the markets will not go up, they will not be buying here. They'll be selling. So to bring in that liquidity, to have as much liquidity in order to sell their bags, they have to pump these altcoins. And I'm not talking necessarily about meme coins or these random memes that do a 50x to 100x. No, we're talking about real utility altcoins like the likes of Arbitrum, Optimism, Chainlink, and the rest. They have to pump those altcoins to make people really believe that, oh, all this time when we were waiting, it's finally happening. People will start telling their neighbors and stuff, and then all of them come put in money, and then whales exit and the markets top out. Michael Saylor happens to believe that the markets will actually not have any type of winter ever again, and I wonder where he's taking that idea. Maybe he is right. I mean, we would all want winter to never come, yes? But the markets always have winter. There is really never a time when the markets just keep going to the upside. I can understand his whole perspective, his whole idea that Bitcoin will take over the global financial system. I can understand that. Some people even think that everything will be done on Bitcoin, which is quite literally impossible. I happen to believe that Ethereum will actually take up a large chunk of the global financial system because every stock and everything that can be traded, I think, will be traded on Ethereum sometime in the future. I think it's really just Ethereum. There are some times that I think, though, that the whole idea of moving Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake may have been a bad idea, but proof of work also has its caveats. It's a smart contract cryptocurrency, so there are a lot of things on it that Bitcoin literally cannot do. But really, there are some times that I just think the whole idea of moving Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake was a bad idea. I don't know. But I think sometime in the future, Ethereum will actually take over the global financial system, especially with things like real world assets, especially those. There is no other cryptocurrency that is more better suited for that type of activity. I think ETH will actually colonize that empire. All right, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will make sure to respond. BNB has been doing pretty well recently. Have you seen that? Yeah, that thing, I actually talked about it at 200 and about 230, I think, when Binance was under fire, Binance and CZ. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. But until then, stay safe.